Hola, y bienvenido, Drew Kemp. How are you doing?
All good, Paul. All good. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. That was my attempt at a bit of Spanish, but you must be fluent in it by now, having spent all those weeks over there in Argentina.
Well, yeah, I'm not quite fluent in it yet, but I kind of wish when you come to places like this, when you're younger, you never ever think that you're going to need Spanish in your life, do you? So I kind of wish I tried a little bit harder at school now and actually tried it. So I'm getting by. It's not always easy, of course, but luckily there's people that speak English out here, and I can communicate, and Google Translate's a brilliant thing as well.
Brilliant. Can I just go through the questions that I sent you earlier that you said that they were terribly difficult, but you would give your best shot? Is that right? Is that what we came up with?
Of course.
Okay, so well, I mean, I'm actually talking about bilingual. You must be fluent in German, because of course that's where Drew Kemp comes from.
No,
Germany.
I don't know a single bit of German, honestly. It's it's the same with every country I go to and spend a little bit of time. I try to get the basics, hello, thank you, all that, but I don't know any other language apart from English. I was very young. I don't think I was even one when we come back to the UK. So I wish I did. Like I said, I wish I could speak, many different languages, and especially German. Like you say, I was born there, but I don't know a single thing. So unfortunately, it's just boring English that I know. A little bit of a Berwick, that's a different language in itself. So
it's a completely different language. Right there.
Yeah.
So my usual question to everybody is, what on earth possessed you to become a speedway rider?
Well, to be honest, so I've been riding motorbikes since I was 4 years old. So and I'm 23 now. So for nearly 20 years, I've been riding a motorbike, and I was a good level motocross rider for years. I was racing the British Championship at that, and I was always there or thereabouts, but I never ever won, anything decent in motocross. Well, what I would class as decent. I never won like a national race, a British Championship race, and I just tried Speedway once and never planned for it to go anywhere or, anything to come about from it. And I just enjoyed it more. And I'd already committed to racing motocross the year after in 2015. But once the season was over, I fully committed to Speedway and went from there. And, even at that age, I never thought that I'd make it my job or, that I'd become a professional at it. It was just something that I enjoyed to do. So it's definitely one of the best choices I've made. So so far it's going well. I feel like I've been around for many years. I said even at 23, I've been doing Speedway for 10 years now. So it doesn't sound a lot, but I've been about a lot with different teams. So it's taken me a long time, but it's getting there slowly.
I must admit, I've thoroughly enjoyed your diary of a teenage Speedway kid.
Speedway kid. Right? Diary of a Speedway kid, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant read. Was that your idea, or can you tell us a little bit about the background of coming up with? Because it's always good, isn't it, to chronicle that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was through a long-term sponsor. I mean, I say he's a sponsor. He's more of a friend of mine now, but he still obviously helps me. But his name's Barry Cross, and when I turned 15, obviously I rode for Eastbourne and Mildmore in the National League at the same time. And at the time, he was in control of doing the Eastbourne program. I don't know whether anybody's ever seen the Eastbourne programs, but they were like proper books, and they were a good read to look at. They were more than a program, really. And
right.
I had to do an interview or something like that with Eastbourne, and we just started talking. And obviously I had that really good year. Well, I say really good year. Obviously, a good year. It was my first year racing sort of professionally at Speedway, and I had that good year. And that was Barry's idea to do a book, which was good. You know, it was sort of, at the time, nobody had ever done anything like it, and still I've never seen, you know, anything, you know, done like it since. So it was good. It obviously put a little bit of a target on my back, I think. You know, when you start getting all this publicity and, you know, you start believing the hype a little bit, don't you, with stuff like that. Yeah, it did put a little bit of a target on my back, I think. But I think it was a good idea. And, you know, looking back and, you know, 7 years later, you know, even now it's nice to read it and, you know, see what happened, you know, in those meetings and in those times.
Well, I think I'm right in saying that you were a consecutive British under 19 champion, 3 years on the trot.
3 years, yeah, 3 years. So it seems very long ago now. 5 years, crazy. That's mental. 5 years ago was absolutely crazy.
And when you first started the Speedway, of course, you were still at school doing your O levels? Did they have O levels? Was that O levels? Or was it that 5?
That's way before my time. Yeah, GCSEs it was. So yeah, that was 2018. I left high school.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah, 8 years.
Yeah, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that diary of a Speedway kid, and it talks about your first trip to Berwick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah.
Can you remember your first trip to Berwick?
Yeah, that was the under 21 British final. That was the one was it the first or second one Robert Lambert won. And I remember the qualifier was at Eastbourne, and it was raining really hard all meeting. And again, 15-year-old, you just go out and ride it. Being a professional now, I'd complain about it, but at the time, you just get out and ride it. And yeah, I managed to qualify. And funny enough, we actually had Rory Schlein with me on that meeting as well. We picked him up and took him to it. And I remember when we got to Berwick, obviously we got to Berwick quite early, and there's a cafe, you know, through the town, like, I can't really describe where it is, but there's a nice cafe in Berwick. And I remember we stopped there, and I actually had lunch there last year as well. So that was quite nice, right. You know, full circle.
Right, yeah.
So
was a prawn sandwich or a bacon, lettuce and tomato?
I can't even remember what it was. It was so long ago, but it was nice. And like I said, the cafe hadn't changed in the time I hadn't been there. So I can't really remember the meeting much. I think it was 5 points, something like that. Wasn't many. But yeah, when you're that young and you're racing, you know, good riders, obviously Dan Bewley would have been in it, Robert Lambert. I think it was that Voigtneck that come. No, actually, I can't remember the podium that year. But you know, it was a scary track back then. This is still a scary track now, but yeah, when it's your first time there, it's even more scary.
The long journey to Berwick. I remember you wrote about it in the diary about, you know, can you imagine having to do this every week? Be careful what you wish for.
The actual journey there isn't bad. You know, it's the hardest bit is when you're driving home, you know, and it's 3 o'clock and you get to Wetherby and you're still 3 hours from home still. You know, that's when it starts hitting hard. So, yeah, it's worth it when you have a good meeting. It's not so worth it when you're not having a good meeting. So, luckily for me, I had more good than bad, though, when I rode for Berwick. Well, so, that was nice.
Absolutely. And I think I know who your sort of greatest riders are, of your heroes of, you know, Speedway heroes growing up. But would you like to just explain a little bit about?
Can you still hear me? Oh yeah, I've got you still. I
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's good. Sorry, signal's a little bit dodgy. Yeah, well, obviously, because I've come into Speedway, like I said, in the last 10 years, I missed all the like the OG Grand Prix riders, the Crumps and the Gollobs and stuff like that. Obviously, my idol is Tony Ricardson, but I never saw him race, which is a shame, really. So,
all right.
He's still my favourite rider. But honestly, when I was 13, 14 racing, it was Danny King, because obviously I was an Ipswich fan and he was the number one for Ipswich. And, I remember having a training day with him when I first started. And so I've sort of known Danny my whole Speedway career. So he was actually probably my biggest idol when I was growing up and when I was younger. And it's funny, when you're 13, you don't really think about ever being in a team with someone like that. And, for most of my career, I've been in a team with Danny. So it's nice. So, yeah, Danny King and Tony Ricardson. It's funny saying Danny King, he's a rival now. And I'm saying that he was one of my favourite riders. But, I like Danny a lot.
Wow.
And, he was definitely someone I enjoyed watching when I was younger.
Sure. I mean, he's a British champion, and I think anybody that's a British champion, the next step is we know where the next step is, don't we? It's a Grand Prix rider, and going on to even bigger and better things. For me, and I think for quite a lot of us Brits, I think sorry, Drew. Sorry.
So I'm losing you a little bit. I don't know if it's my signal or yours.
Yeah. It's probably mine, but anyway, we'll persevere. I would say a lot of it's the I can tell you that Mark Laram was the one that we always aspire, that we love to watch, because he could do everything. He was brilliant on the bike, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have seen any of except on video.
He's still there? I got you just about. Oh, I've got you.
That's the beauty of doing it live,
Yeah. What were you saying?
So out like that.
You kept cutting out.
You're still there.
Yeah, I am. I'll start getting angry in a minute. So when stuff don't go right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of Danny King, actually,
can you tell us about
one of the best moments?
Your days at Eastbourne?
Yeah. Do we have to talk about that much? That wasn't a good time.
Well, it's just I don't know if you've ever met David Norris, but he is also somebody that's held in the highest regard, not just as a speedway rider, but also as one of the greatest speedway commentators. If you've ever had the chance to listen to David Norris talking speedway when he was on Sky.
Yeah, obviously I say I know Dave quite well. I've met him a few times, and I've enjoyed every time I've spoken to him. And obviously he's sort of, after he retired and after he'd finished with his TV career, he left Speedway for quite a while, and he's sort of just come back into it. the last couple of years. So yeah, every time I've spoken to him, it's certainly been an interesting conversation. And obviously he still watches it. So sometimes I'll have a message from him after the meeting. Usually it's the bad ones that he sees, and he'll give me some advice. So it's nice to see that he's still involved with the sport and still wants to help some people. So I should probably get back in touch with him. Really, I'm surprised I haven't heard from him. So if he watches this, I'm expecting a message from him at some point.
Yeah, he's functioning somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe you also had a spell at Edinburgh.
Yeah. Do you know that was again, considering that was a pretty poor year, what happened with Eastbourne, and I was struggling a little bit. I was struggling at Ipswich, and it was a difficult year. Obviously, I won the under-19s that year, but that was after I started riding for Edinburgh. And I remember I went to Edinburgh. The whole Eastbourne thing had happened. Obviously, the club had closed, and we hadn't been paid. And I went to Edinburgh for a guest booking. And I remember I went to the track, and it was tight. It was grippy, and I'm not even joking. I come last in every single race, and I didn't even score, and I was half a lap behind. And honestly, I hated it. And I said to myself, I'm not riding here. And which, after a meeting, emotions are pretty high at that point, aren't they? And you're always thinking the worst. And one thing someone told me is not to make any decisions when you're upset and angry, because you never make the best decisions at that point. So I got home, long trip home, obviously, scoring 0 and being terrible. And at the time, John Campbell, he still wanted me to ride for the club, surprisingly. And he asked if I wanted to ride for him, and I thought to myself, well, the only way I'm going to get better is by riding for them. And I agreed to ride for him for the rest of the year. I still had maybe 8, 9, 10 meetings for him, which was quite lucky, because obviously up north it always rains, so they had a lot of rain off meetings. Went there, first meeting as a monarch. I think I went 1-0-0 or something like that in these heats. And there's actually a story, because I think I was racing at Ipswich the night before, and I got given a Tony Ricardson flag. So yeah, I went 1-0-0. I had this Tony Ricardson flag with me, and I got it out of the pits, out of the van, put it in the pits, and I went 3-3, 2 + 1, 3. And so if you look at my goggle bag now, I have this Tony Ricardson flag. It's like my lucky thing. But winning one race at Edinburgh made me realise I could ride the place. And then I had a really good year for the rest of the year. I got my first ever paid maximum in the league. Had a good meeting at Poole for the rest of the year, which then, led them to ask me to race for the year after. So I started to enjoy it again. And then I realised that I wasn't so bad after all. So, it was an enjoyable time at Edinburgh.
Well, you were quite bad because at Berwick, you rode for Edinburgh, and Edinburgh cuffed us 58-32. And I'm sure you did a lot of damage.
I think I got 8 + 1 or something like that. Man, I think I went paid win 0-3. That was when Daniel Gatmire was still riding for Berwick. So I remember that. That was and I remember when I rode for Sheffield. Actually, I came to Berwick, and I think I scored 11. And I don't know how, because I was so slow in this meeting, but I still ended up scoring 11. Which is another good story. And actually, Stuart Steady couldn't be the team manager that day. Wow. So Sheffield asked Stuart to be the team manager for one meeting at Berwick, and that was the meeting he was the team manager for. So it's another good story there.
Well, go on then. Tell us a little about Stuart Dixon, because I've met him a couple of times on the terrace and at away meetings, and he seems to have a great sense of humour. But I get the sense that he knows how to wind people up.
Yeah, yeah. I've obviously known Stuart for a few years, and you've got to, yeah, he's funny. You know, I'll admit he dropped me at Leicester, obviously in 2024, and I was pretty angry with him. Sorry, yeah, I was angry with him. You know, for a very very long time after that, and obviously I was still riding for Berwick, so I couldn't, you know, say how I really felt. But you know, I like Stuart. I think I'm quite difficult to understand at times. You know, I'm someone that likes things in a certain way, and you know, and I think now after 4 or 5 years, he's known me for properly as a team manager. He's sort of starting to understand and realise what I like and what to say to me. So yeah, obviously I'm back with Stuart again this year at Leicester. So yeah.
Is it a case of he knows what buttons to press with you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and he's a very good team manager. You know, I've like I said, I've dealt with many team managers, in my whole career, but he's definitely up there with one of them, and he knows what he wants. He expects the team to win, which anybody would, but he's very easy and to deal with, and like I said, he brings some humour to the team, which is nice. It's not always serious, and yeah. It's funny, really, because I always say to him, he's different at Berwick than what he is at Leicester. He's loud, and he's funny. Well, he's funny anywhere, but he's definitely a different person. But not in a bad way. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but yeah, he's a good guy to be involved with, and like I said, to be with him for 4 years at least now is a good thing for me, and it makes life a lot easier as well when the person you're dealing with knows who you are, and when you know who they are as well really well. Yeah, it just makes life 10 times easier.
Yeah. So you touched on the fact that after Edinburgh you went to Poole, and how did you end up at Poole? Because that's from one end of the country to the other.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty harsh on Edinburgh actually that year, because I didn't agree a deal with Edinburgh, but I sort of said to John that I want to come back to you next year. You're my first choice, so just let me know. And I gave him my word. Basically, I didn't really expect anybody else to come knocking, and Matt Ford rang me up and asked me, and I just sort of agreed it straight on the spot. I don't know what it is with Poole, but everybody always wants to ride for him. And like I said, it was a no-brainer for me. And it was a good year. I started off really well at reserve. I did struggle in the end, but I rode for Poole and got my first league title. But it also also wasn't a good time for me. That was obviously then I stopped riding in the UK the year after that, didn't I, for a little time. But I enjoyed it. It's a club everybody wants to ride for, like I said. Great stadium. The pits are really nice there. When you're doing well, the fans are good to you. And you're going to get paid as well, which is always helpful.
Well, at what time in this flirting with all these championship teams did you end up at Wolves? Because that's what I remember you first seeing you really was. Yeah,
that was 2022, the year I rode for Poole. So again, I actually ended up riding for the clubs I wanted to ride for that year. I'd gone to Wolverhampton the year before with Ipswich, and I think I'd scored 6 in 9+1 or something like that. So I enjoyed Wolves. I knew them from when I rode for Cradley. And when Ipswich told me they didn't want me for 2022, I got in contact with Peter Adams. Peter Adams, and told him. And again, they offered me a contract. So me and my granddad went and met him and Chris Van Straten, and we agreed a deal. So yeah, again, I enjoyed Wolverhampton. I was watching some videos of that the other day, actually, and it made me miss the place because it was such a good track, and it's such a waste that it's gone now. It's a team that most people know in the UK and around the world is Wolverhampton, and the fact that it's gone now is a massive shame. But I enjoyed Wolverhampton. Like I said, I was at two good teams that year, and I couldn't argue really.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on your reserve partner at Wolves, Mr. Leon Flint?
Yeah, that was that was fine. I've always got on with Leon. I've known Leon. Do you know what? Leon was in my second ever Speedway meeting at Scunthorpe. That was when I first met him. And obviously, I've grown up racing Leon on the 250s. And obviously, he's a couple of months younger than me. I think he's January or February time. Obviously, I'm August. So, we're the same age. I would class as the same age. So, I've always got on with Leon. So, that was the time when he was riding for Berwick, wasn't it? So it was good. It's a good laugh. I like Leon a lot. So he's another funny one.
And then, of course, in the top flight, you ended up at Leicester.
Yeah.
With say Stewart, and
that was the year I took half a year off from the UK. I was not burnt out from the UK, but I had a tough end to 2022, and it all stemmed from when Paul won the league at Leicester. And that was when the meet was 2nd of November, I think. They couldn't get the fixture on at Leicester because the track was waterlogged, so we actually had it at Kings Lynn. And I remember I was struggling in the main body of the team. I went from scoring double figures nearly every week at reserve to scoring 4s and 5s, in the main body of the team in the championship. So I had all this built up anger basically, and I remember I struggled in this meeting, and there was one race, and I think Paul had already won the league at this point. And so, there was nothing to race for effectively, but obviously you still, for pride and money, you still want to do well, don't you? So I had this one race with the Thompson twins and ended up passing them, and then they passed me back, then I passed them back, and then they passed me, and they actually caught me with his footrest and destroyed my front wheel. I don't know how the wheel didn't collapse, but honestly, I've never been so angry in my entire life. And incidentally, I then ended up not smiling for the photos. Anyway, that's beside the point. I had a lot of hate that year. And I decided the year after I had an opportunity to race for Ravage in Division 2 as a junior. And I decided I wasn't going to race in the UK and that I was going to go and race in Poland. And, for me, that was the best decision I had. And, I didn't have the toxicity of British Speedway, which it can be at times. I'm not saying Polish Speedway is any better, but I couldn't understand it. So that was nice. And, I could just get on with riding my bike and not have to worry, really. And, that obviously ended up, again, money issues and the club not paying. And I ended up coming back to the UK. But, that half season I did in Poland was definitely something I enjoyed a lot. And I ended up again with Leicester, the whole Leicester thing. That was
I actually saw you at Monmore for the very last league meeting at Monmore when you were riding Leicester, and it was a 45 overall. and it was their very
Yeah.
last league meeting before the playoffs, and you took 7 rides. How hard is it to do something like that? Because I don't think people quite appreciate how it must be incredibly hard riding a speedway bike, trying to turn it as hard as you have to sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's our job at the end of the day. That's what we're paid to do, isn't it? So you can't complain too much. So as a reserve, that you could be doing 3 rides or you could be doing 7 rides. So you just got to be ready at all times. And I don't mind doing many rides. I'm quite fit, and it's better to do a lot of rides than to have rides that are heat 2, heat 6, heat 11. Where the track is changing every time. At least with having a lot of rides, you can sort of set your bike up better for what the track's going to be like. So it's nice to have 7 rides. I enjoy it. I think actually at Sheffield this year I had 7 rides. That was something that was difficult. I'll tell you that one.
Yeah. I'm going to say I can't imagine doing 7 rides at Berwick would be much fun.
It depends on if you enjoy riding that sort of track. I wouldn't mind 7 rides, obviously around there, but yeah, I can imagine for some of those young 16-year-olds, 7 rides around there would be pretty daunting. So obviously Max Perry had a few of those rides this year, didn't he? When he come with Glasgow, and each time he looked like he was getting more and more tired. But you just got to hang on around Berwick.
Yeah. Listen, Drew, I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us, and I'm going to suggest, could we have another chat at some other point in the future and just go on a little bit further? It's just that I realise that you're over there in Argentina. You've got commitments you need to go to, and it just gives me an excuse to invite you back on some other time for another chat.
Of course, just let me know. And I'm here for
because I've got a whole load of questions, but I'm not going to get them done in.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm here for. Well, I've been here for 7 weeks now, so I'm here for another 3 weeks. So I'm. It's going to get busy now. Hopefully, we'll be racing. Tuesday, Saturday, every single week. So, but yeah, another 3 weeks, which is going to go quickly, I think. But any time, just let me know and we can arrange it. No worries.
Excellent. Listen, you go and enjoy a night out in where are you? Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, but no, I'm in the Bahia Blanca. Sorry, Bahia Blanca. Yeah, it's Buenos Aires is obviously the capital. Well, I can tell you, I got here obviously, so I had a 9-hour flight to America, and then it was another 8-hour flight to Argentina, and then you get to Buenos Aires, and then it's another 8-hour drive to where I am now. So it was a long day. So Buenos Aires is a little bit far, but where I am is nice. It's a nice city, and weather's nice every day, which is lucky for me. Obviously, I see all the people complaining about the weather in the UK at the minute. So there's no complaints of that on this way. 36 degrees today. So it's a bit cold. So that's good, very good. I'm enjoying it, and the whole thing's an experience for me. So, for me, it's a life experience, not just a speedway experience. So, it's only going to help me as a person, as well as a rider.
Well, gracias, Drew.
No worries. I don't know what no worries is in Spanish yet or Argentinian, so I need to find that one out.
You have to look that one up.
So,
listen, Drew.
I'll find out.
Yeah. It's gutting that you're not going to be back at Berwick next year, but obviously it is what it is, and we wish you all the success that you can possibly have. I'm afraid I'm one of these people that I've never wished anybody luck. It's nothing to do with luck. You've put the work in. You will get the success that you deserve. So just keep going.
Thank you. No, thank you. I mean, I know I'm obviously leaving Berwick and and racing in Poland this year, but obviously that has stemmed from riding for Berwick. Berwick sort of kickstarted my career again, really. I sort of felt like, and even Stuart said it in an interview, that I was sort of not at the same level for years, but I hadn't really shown the progression that I knew I was capable of doing. And it took me a few months to do that with Berwick, but once I started and got to grips with the place and started enjoying Speedway again, it got better and better each week, and and that's why I'm able to race in Europe. So I can't thank Berwick enough for that, and everybody for being good to me. It's definitely the most enjoyable 2 years I've had at any club. So obviously I wish the club well, and you never know, never say never, obviously. So I maybe annoying a few people again soon, and I'm wearing my Berwick suit out here, so I'm giving the bandits some exposure whilst I'm out here.
I was going to say I've noticed that as well, but anyway, I'm going to let you go and practice your Latvian ready for next season.
Oh yeah, that's the next thing. Yeah. No, thank you very much. Appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to it, and if I get the time and opportunity, I'll come up to Berwick at some point.
Lovely. Cheers, Drew. Catch you again sometime.
You will. No worries. I'll catch you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.